Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to Hallyujuku, a K-pop podcast and more. An East Asian pop culture podcast with a couple of guys from the East Coast of the United States. I'm Petey Rave. Here with me is my tag team partner, my partner in crime, the one and only King Kaz, Brandon Cooper, aka King Kaz. How you doing, Kaz?
I'm doing well. How are you, my good sir?
I'm doing well here, chilling. We're here to talk about East Asian pop culture, having this little look into what's going on. Yeah, let's just get down to it. First, we start off every episode talk about what's new, what's caught our attention since we last gathered a couple weeks ago. And yeah, Kaz, what's new? What's caught your attention?
So for me, there's a couple of things that caught my attention. There's this song by one team called Rollin' Rollin'.
What?
And it came out on the 11th, and I haven't heard it till like right now. It's not bad. I like it. I like parts of it definitely. But I think it's a pretty good track from these boys. I got a lot of boy groups today.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it's like, I want to say middle of the road, but not bad. It works well for like a summer track for a boy band.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah, it definitely has like that summer track boy band feel. But I definitely think it's kind of worth checking out if you're kind of into boy groups and you're looking for something to check out. I think this is a really good like chill summer jam for you.
Yeah. A nice little like chill hot summer jam. One of, I would say, not the only video we're gonna have like that. Also, not the only video we're gonna have filmed in Los Angeles. Very often.
So moving on from me, I got the boys from NCT 127 with the English version of their song "Highway to Heaven." The thing I kind of like about this one is like the English is really good.
Yeah.
Which isn't a surprise at this point anymore in kind of K-pop. It's kind of more of a surprise when the English isn't good.
Yeah.
But I think they did a really good job on this.
Yeah. I think they did a good job on the production. I think if I would say that the thing that I like most about this is that it exists as an English version, obviously, to kind of like try to kind of slipstream themselves into this big Korean wave into the West. But what I like about this is that it still has a lot of its inherent K-popness, but in a good way. Like it's not an imitation of something in the West. Like and it doesn't come off as like trying to be something else. I mean, it still has a few of those like, this is a cool set of words and we're going to put it in here. Like, this is just a cool sentence and we're going to write it in, therefore we're going to put it into the song. Not necessarily like what makes sense, but like it has less of those. It has less of those than I don't remember which I think the last song that we talked about with NCT, they were the English version where it's just a bunch of just cool phrases like that they just mashed together that didn't reflect, like necessarily what they were, but it has a lot less of that, and I think it still retains. I think the big thing is it retains a K-pop identity, even in like its effort to like go into the West.
And it's gonna be something that we are going to be talking about again a lot more, is the K-pop transition into America, because I think this is the next big resurgence of that. I think we had one a while ago. Like I can't pinpoint when it was, but there was definitely seeds sowed a while ago, and I feel like those trees are starting to bloom, and then now more people are trying to plant those seeds. One of the biggest ones to gain from that we've always talked about is BTS. NCT is doing really well in their American transition somewhat, now that we're starting to have more domestic record sales like we've been talking about. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where it continues to go from here.
So and SM really wants to push NCT 127 into that spot, alongside where Monsta X has been succeeding, which is being there for whoever is asking, "Get me BTS," or "Get me BTS," get me somebody else from K-pop as a boy band, and then they're there and they're taking those opportunities, and they are earning them in their own right. Because they're establishing, okay, well, can't always just be them. We're here too, and then they're establishing themselves as okay, we're here. We're able to make quality music. We're able to make cool stuff. So it's cool to see. But yeah. Speaking of,
right, for me, last but not least, is EXO. With a definitely all these tracks were kind of summer jammy tracks, and then this one is no less of a summer jam kind of track. Just the boys from EXO doing their thing. I'm not sure how I feel about this song yet. Is why I'm kind of trying to give myself time to really
to digest
my feelings about it. I like it. I think it's okay. I think it's It definitely has that EXO sound, and I love the EXO sound.
Yeah.
And their vocals are always pretty good. But I don't really know where this is definitely not my favorite EXO song.
Yeah. Namely, it's your boy Sehun and the boy Chanyeol. EXO-SC, EXO Sports Center. So it's an exciting time. It's a nice subunit. It does have a little bit of that EXO sound, but mainly it's just their vocals. I think it definitely has a bit of that modern Western boy band sound, where it was that pseudo hip hop. White dude pop hip hop, the why don't we's of the world and whatnot, and they do it well. I don't know if I'm feeling it, but it's well made. It's well done. But yeah, it's not my favorite. I think there's what I come to EXO for, what have come to EXO for, and I don't necessarily think this is up that alley or up to that standard. It's all right.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. But yeah. All right. So I have a couple of tracks myself. I'm bringing the ladies. It's just kind of our habit now, but a kind of a follow-up to the debut of a newer girl group, Nature, with their newer track, I'm So Pretty, Nega Chum Yepo. It is definitely kind of a really quality, really well made. It's well made. It's good quality. It's definitely a good quality song. It's definitely well made. It's definitely a welcome, fun, peppy song. Is it innovative? Is it will it blow your mind? No, but it's nice, middle of the road, really really good, fun, peppy girl group K-pop song, and I think that is what's going for it.
Yeah, it has the pep. It's like we're in summer, right? So all of our tracks so far have had these like very summery like feels and sounds and visuals to them. So you're not gonna get anything amazing right here right now, but you're gonna get kind of interesting visual in a lot of
Yeah.
this stuff. A lot of bright colors, a lot of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and this is still a group who's trying to set their footing, so they're not going to do anything crazy.
Yeah. But still solid stuff. So looking forward to more from nature. Speaking of someone who's set their footing, more than set their footing, long time veteran. At this point, 12 years since her debut, or with the group. Talking about Hyoyeon of Girls' Generation, Senior Shide, or now she's known as DJ Hyo. She's kind of like transitioned into being an EDM DJ and producer, which is fascinating and fun and really cool. And she's been kind of putting out a couple of like tracks here and there in that lap vein under the Hyo name. And putting out solid stuff, and I think this is another addition to that. It's called Badster, like it's like bad gangster or something like that. And it's fun. It's very much like I think somebody was calling it psytrance, in that vein, and I think it works well. The song is definitely a song that would work perfectly exactly where she will want to play it, which is at all the hot clubs in fucking Gangnam and Itaewon, and like DJing with this video behind her playing.
Yeah.
It's the video very much is DJ set background video. Like it is, that perfect, which is what it needs to be. It doesn't need to be much anything else. And I think it works. She also released an English version, which is fun. Which is also funny because SM doesn't necessarily put English subtitles in their songs, but they did for the English version. It's like, which is, I don't know, maybe
that could just be the auto from the YouTube upload being able to just translate directly.
I guess, but like it usually will say like auto generated. I think this was actually like put in there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, it was probably easier to do since you already had the translation.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's funny, and it probably is like that, but it's funny to think that like they really did it just because they think they would have trouble with listening. People making out her pronunciation, which is unfounded because she actually did a fantastic job. She's been doing a lot in like learning English for a while now, so she did a fantastic job, and I think I look forward to more of DJ Hyo.
I feel like I have to bring it up because I know you're probably getting the advertisements for this too. But the BTS like fucking movie, like their goddamn Japanese pop group.
Yeah, I have not seen the ad. I have YouTube Premium, so I don't know if it's an ad in there, but
Right,
I can only imagine.
I'll link you to this very quick. I'll link you to this. I'm going to drop it in our Skype chat so you can see this. So this is the Bring the Soul, the movie, the cinema experience.
Yes.
It's all about the rise of BTS, and you can go and
experience.
Yeah.
You know what? There's money to be made.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. But yeah. It is. But yeah,
I felt like it would do us a disservice if we didn't mention this and kind of talk about this.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I'm looking for. I want to check it out. I want to see the movie. I do enjoy it looks like an enjoyable trailer. I haven't seen any of the BTS concert movies. I almost feel like I should probably check it out. Like, but it looks cool. It looks very cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
I like old cars. Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
There you go. Go check that out. Last but not least, I want to bring up. Speaking of BTS, almost I kind of like didn't realize I had the perfect segue there. But speaking of BTS, we have the last track by Heize. They put out her new track featuring Giddy Boy called "We Don't Talk Together," which is produced by Suga of BTS. It's a big reason why it's getting a nice amount of attention. On top of the fact that anytime Heize puts out a track, it shoots up to the top of the charts and stays there. But on top of that, she's also getting a big push from the army to support the track. So it's succeeding well, and I think ultimately it is a good song, and it's really well made, and I like it. It's definitely a one of those chill hip hop R&B tracks for playing at a cafe. But it's a well made one of those. And an enjoyable one of those. I do enjoy the video. It's very kind of like cute and dark at the same time. It mainly involves Heize wheeling around and dancing with a skeleton that they just grabbed from a high school science class. You can still
grab that from the costume shop that they were like shopping for costumes from the video, and they were just like on their way out. They're like, "Yo, can we have that too?" Yeah, just take it.
Yeah, it still has the little thing on the top of the head to hang it from to hang it from the thing to put it on display.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, they're gonna return that.
Yeah. It's like, all right, we're done with this. It's like,
yeah.
So like 30-day return policy,
no,
right?
But before we get too far, it's definitely, I think it's a well-produced track, especially featuring Gilly Boy, who also does a lot of production too. I think the mixture of people you have on here are people who enjoy what they do in music. And I think that makes for a good mix, right? You have a good mix in people who like kind of understand their sounds and what they're going for. So when you ever have that kind of a good mix, you tend to come out with something really well.
Yeah. So really good stuff. I'm always enjoy Heize and her voice, and she's pretty fantastic. As I brought a couple of her songs before. Like I still have "And July" will come up on like a playlist, and it's still, like the mix of her and Dean's voice is still just a fantastic song. So, yeah, more great stuff from Heize and from Giddy Boy and from boy Suga. Yeah. Yeah, that concludes our more portion of the show where we talk about what's new. So we now transition over to our headlines. So join us on the flip side, everybody. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the headline segment. We kind of just talk about some topical topics, go through some headlines, see what's going on in the world of East Asian pop culture. Yeah, just give our mostly uninformed thoughts, but we do our best. But speaking of BTS again, K-pop's parenthetically BTS Super Junior Stray Kids inroads in Saudi Arabia leads to understandably mixed reactions. This is from Agent Chunky. Almost a week ago, a little while before we were talking about it. This is a few days ago, this article. Super Junior and then Stray Kids made history by becoming the first K-pop groups to perform in Saudi Arabia after they showed out at the Jeddah Season Festival. Recently, BTS announced dates in Saudi Arabia as part of Riyadh Season Festival. As they've kind of like show on here. So they announced it. The problem, it's a part of the same season series that even Nicki Minaj recently canceled on due to ongoing abuses of human rights, perhaps most notably the execution of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. They show the statement from Nicki Minaj. The change of heart came after the Human Rights Foundation called on her to cancel her appearance, and they continue to call on other artists to do the same for logical reasons. They talk about how they talked to Liam Payne, he of One Direction, or currently or formerly, I don't know. And certain other artists they've talked about. Despite this, many fans have argued in favor of Super Junior Stray Kids, but most of the debate in the K-pop world now centers around BTS and the first ever solo stadium concert in the country. As the Korea Herald recently noticed, proponents of BTS concerts say this is part of a reform going on in the country. The same like dialogue we've heard with other things. Critics say the opposite. Supports a regime mostly more interested in reforming the economy than the society. Definitely worth checking out like their statements as they go into further detail. Go check out the article. It's definitely so. The big thing is that it's definitely specifically the worry with BTS is that this goes very much against what they've publicly put their hat on as far as like their causes. This is like the sentence that said they're not exactly equal either. BTS are obviously more popular, and neither of those two groups have built their brand around being socially conscious, like say being UNICEF ambassadors who spoke at the UN. So it's only natural that they are held to a different standard. Especially kind of like being this conflict. I have a couple of the thoughts, but Kaz, what is your reaction to this? What is your read on this?
My general read is it's so different country, different standard, but always kind of, I don't know. Like, I always feel like, especially for South Korean entertainment, they tend to not have the same issues with certain places that other places in the world do, right?
Unless it's Japan.
There's
no recent or upcoming games for that team at this time.
You mentioned the whole Nicki Minaj part, and that is a perspective of an American on a situation that America has an interest in, right? I don't know politically the interest Korea has in Saudi Arabia other than it's another country that has a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't pay very close attention to Korean politics, so that like you said, we're going to be speaking from a lesser perspective because we don't have all the tools to really have that conversation. And to a certain degree, realistically for BTS, even a lot of the things they do, like speaking at the UN or all these things, are for maybe lack of better term, just publicity, right? It's a showing of just the control they have over media is to allow them to do things that other groups either don't get the chance to or just makes them look better if they do, right? And it's really hard to be like, cool, this person represents the same things I do because they did X. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Just means they did X. Like, and it looks good. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard because there's a lot of personal things you have to take into account. I don't know how much the boys of BTS themselves are like, this is cool, as opposed to their label is just setting up another show in another place.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like you understand that, but there does have to be some of like, well, you should have some global awareness on these big issues, especially big human rights issues. And that being said, you can definitely understand how, from that perspective, they could approach it that way. That being said, it still doesn't feel good. Like, especially if you're a fan and you're aware of those situations, that doesn't feel good. Like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel. Yeah. And yeah, you can like say that, you know, the business and all that stuff, it still doesn't change how it feels, like, just from a perspective. So it's just not fun.
There was a thing a while ago, and I'm not using this as a defense for this particular situation, but there was a thing a while ago about I'm trying to remember, like, kind of what it said. So, and I'm trying to not sneeze again. This won't be like verbatim, but it was like, basically it like had these lists of like things people worry about, like world hunger, Saudi Arabia, India, American homelessness, gangs, and it was like, just because you're woke about one of these situations doesn't give you the right to degrade someone else who doesn't understand any of these, right? Because you don't know their personal beliefs, or you don't know the situations that they're woke about that you don't understand. And while here this is on a bigger platform, and you should have a little more awareness. Not everybody is, to use the term from that quote, woke about the same situation as everyone else is, right? Not everybody else has the mileage in a situation that everyone else does, no matter what your perspective on that situation is, right? Because you always have to remember, your perspective on that situation is, especially politically and of a worldview of things, is based on where you're from sometimes. And anybody from America can take that situation because of the investment that we have in it, and be like, well, you should feel this way. And like, yes, to a certain degree. Like, I'm never gonna denigrate somebody because they're not as woke about something as I am. It's all perspective, and it's all, at the end of the day, like, we can take this outside perspective on this situation and denigrate it, but it all depends on what they decide to do at the end of the day, and what they're doing, right? Because, like, yes, performing a show in certain places doesn't necessarily mean you agree with everything that happens in that place, right? Because there's a lot of world perspective on our political, like, shit right now, right? And anybody can look at that, and like, you can look at performing in America, like, and be like, oh my god, what do you support their government? And you're like, no, I'm just doing a show in New York.
Yeah.
Right? And that perspective for us is different, because you're like, well, no, performing in New York doesn't necessarily mean you support the government of the United States, but that's not necessarily the world perspective. So it's hard.
I can see that. I can definitely see that, because that, from that perspective, And I would say the big thing is I'm mostly talking about how it's just kind of a bummer. I'm mostly talking about it just kind of feels like a bummer. And also the difference would be that these kind of performances and these kind of efforts these performances have that government's hands all up in it. Whereas just playing a show in Madison Square Garden doesn't necessarily have the American government's hands in it. It's just, you're performing at a venue. Whereas this is very much like it has the government's hands in it. So you are kind of, in a sense, hand in hand with the government in this. So I can definitely see your point, but it's definitely a different situation. As it's like a big reason why I can't find myself to getting back into supporting the WWE. Literally because they insist on having a long-term relationship with the Saudi Arabian government, and money is changing hands for these big placating shows.
For them, right, that's a different perspective because they are an American entity who understands that situation, who understands the political ramifications of a situation like that, and they're just looking to take money. And they've also had their performers speak out against those situations, right? Whereas a lot of this still right now for BTS, if we're going to use them as kind of the title card of this, is like, I don't know. It's just hard. I don't know. I don't like speaking about situations that I can't fully grasp.
Yeah. I think I more or less am like right alongside with Asian Junkie. He points out that like he hopes that they do pull out, but if they don't, because they have the potential to kind of set the tone. But if they don't, you don't blame them because it's more reflects on Big Hit than anything else, and it's more of a letdown necessarily than a big egregious crime. But you understand where it's coming from, like you said. Yeah. Like, but it's a different perspective.
There's so many perspectives you could take, right? Like, yes, you could take the perspective of like, there's so many different. I don't know. It's just.
Of course, all of the correct ones are that government is shitty, but it's just a matter of like. Well,
I'm not even talking about that. Like that's an X factor. That's a factor that doesn't change. I'm talking about perspectives from other people in how they look at entering that situation. Right? You could look at entering that situation as like we want to show more support for the people, and there's no way around that than dealing with this government. Or you just are doing a money grab, like that's why I never try to instantly denigrate somebody for a perspective unless I have understanding.
And then I'm still in the not to denigrate them. It doesn't, whether you agree, understand, or whatever you're feeling on their perspective is. On this side, it's still a bummer, and that doesn't change. Like, it's still a bummer, and like the internal feelings don't change from the fan perspective. But we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But all the best to everyone involved, and we'll see how it shakes out. Moving on. Before we get too mired in that. And if you have, I would say, if you have more to add to the conversation, we would love your comments below. Let us know what your perspective on things are, how you feel. Comment either on the website or on the YouTube video, or tweet us at Hallyujuku. We should have our. You should be able to figure out Hallyujuku, HALLYUJUKU. But you can also find our Twitter on the side on kpoppodcast.com. So let us know. We'll give us some feedback. We'd love to hear it. You probably have a lot better perspectives than we do. So we would love to learn a little bit. But yeah, moving on to the next headline. To Lai Kuan Lin, he one of the more prominent members of 101, requests contract termination from Cube Entertainment. Again from Asian Junkie, Lai Kuan Lin, who was a member of 101, has requested contract termination from his company Cube Entertainment. According to exclusive report by news outlet SPO TV News on July 20th. Lai Kuan Lin recently filed a certification contest for the termination of his exclusive contract with Cube Entertainment. Sources from the entertainment industry told SPO TV News that Lai Kuan Lin is currently pursuing activities independently after sending the certification of contents. Cube has acknowledged that they have received a certification of contents in order to terminate his contract, and we'll have a statement later. They did have a statement. They kind of saying, hello, this is Cube Entertainment. It is true that we received a letter notification about the termination of his contract with our artist Lai Kuan Lin from a legal representative claiming to represent him. However, nothing has occurred between the agency and Lai Kuan Lin to give grounds for current termination, so we are currently verifying the authenticity of the content and letter of notification, as well as whether Lai Kuan Lin's legal representative has the power of attorney. As an agency, we have always carried out our duties in ensuring that Lai Kuan Lin, ever since his debut, could come into his own as an artist that receives love from the public. There is no evidence of problems with the agency, then we will take legal action under due process of law. Basically saying, nah. And then there's also a great article where I don't want to say great article, but it's an article from Korea Boo, where they have the statement from Lai Kuan Lin's lawyer, kind of like laying out some of the things that they're claiming. They're kind of putting forward as kind of the reasons why they want to kind of separate out. The kind of details, you can go check it out. But a lot of it,
these situations only ever boil down into a couple of things, right? Either he's getting interest from something that's going to give him more money. So
with
being
China
in that locked-in situation messes up that.
Especially since a lot of that is going to be in a big market like China, as as an artist from a very huge K-pop group, which are popular in China, and a Chinese member. It's like there's a lot of money to be had out there in China, especially if you can have that, if you can strike while the iron's hot, and if you believe the agency is like holding that back, you can definitely understand where you kind of want to like, hey, let me free. Seeking free agency. And what is your take? What's your read on this?
I mean, that was my read on it. Was like you're getting offers and money propositions, so the situation you're in doesn't play in your best interest, or you found out that you weren't getting paid what you were supposed to be. Those are generally the two situations. Yeah,
like they one of the highlights here is within just a few months of his signing his contract with Cube, in January 2018, Cube sold. This is allegedly from according to the Lai Kuan Lin's lawyer. Cube sold Lai Kuan Lin's management rights in China to a third-party agency. Through the transaction, Cube was given a sum that was dozens of times larger than the contract fee given to Lai Kuan Lin. Lai Kuan Lin and his parents were not consulted about this at all, so they weren't able to agree or disagree with the transaction. Things like that. Like in January 2019, once he started promoting in China, he belatedly discovered news about the contractual transfer. In April 2019, Cube Entertainment booked Lai Kuan Lin to appear on UN Cube Festival, an agency-run event in Japan that took place on March 23rd of 2019. The conflict with the schedules to film a drama in China. He was in serious talks with the Chinese broadcast, but was ultimately unable to participate due to Cube's event. He later heard that the schedule conflict left a bad impression of Lai Kuan Lin to the Chinese broadcast agency. As Lai Kuan Lin was looking into exactly what happened, he found out there was another contract that he didn't even know about. So they're basically saying, like, there were big opportunities in China, and either they did things behind the back that led it to not work out in his favor, or they just outright made it so that he couldn't take lucrative opportunities that were available to him, and also possibly cause issues with the relationship with TV broadcast agencies. Again, this is all alleged according to his attorney, so we can't say that this is definitely what they did. But so we'll have to see what bears out as far as when who it's going to be. He said, they said, we said, kind of thing. So we'll have to see when it bears out. All the best of luck to Lai Kuan Lin, because there's definitely like we've documented, Produce 101 groups. The artists in them, the members of them, are hugely popular, and especially the boy groups. 101, in particular, insane fandoms, and they have insane potential that out there. And it's amazing that these agencies can fuck it up. They're good here. You have this, what is just, if you let them do the things that they're going to get offered, they will make you money. Simple.
It's finding the right balance,
Yeah. And then you kind of to further illustrate that, Kang Daniel's solo debut album is already above 450,000 pre-orders in the week that they've been able to be pre-ordered. That's already 500,000. Which is crazy. And it's him, having to fight, for his independence. Now that he has that, he still has that momentum. He still has the ability to sell records. So the money could have been there for people, but it could have been you. But you was playing. There's also rumors of Kang Daniel being blackballed from music shows, but I mean we don't know if that's true or not. The only source I saw was Koreaboo, and even in that article, the headline was reports of music shows blocking Kang Daniel, and even in the body of when you go to the body, it says music shows are hesitant to so it's they're just hesitating, it's just until he has released the album, and until you see that he's not showing up on television ever, we don't know yet.
I think when you have these kind of numbers, right? When you do these kind of numbers in pre-orders, and then if he does not show up on music shows, there's definitely something wrong.
Yeah, if he's not on music shows, or he's not on variety shows, or he's not showing up on Yu-Gi-Oh's sketchbook, or at least on that, if he's not showing up on TV. He's not getting CF deals, commercial deals, which I think he still is. He's getting some nice commercial deals. Then we'll say, there's something going on. But we'll see. We don't know yet. But the rumors are out there. But again, they're just rumors. That being said, all right. One last headline. I just wanted to kind of this one last one because it's kind of a cool feel good story. RBW announces audition for debut of disabled musicians. This is from Soompi. RBW, the home of artists such as Mama Move, Romance, One Us, and One We, started a project to debut disabled musicians. A total of 5 musicians will be selected, one each from each of the 5 fields: drum, guitar, keyboard, bass guitar, and singer-songwriter. They will just form day 6. They will each be provided a small amount of money for activities every month and undergo a year of training, and they are aimed to debut in the second half of 2020. Our RBW has been conducting various charitable activities, including donation campaigns for the socially vulnerable and talent donation performances with artists in culturally underprivileged areas. Kim Jin-woo, CEO of the agency, shared, quote, "We will give our attention and support to disabled musicians in the blind spots of culture and welfare to fulfill their dreams through musical talent. We will continue our social contribution activities based on culture and arts by using the capabilities we have built up in the music content field." And then they talk about applications where they can be downloaded and whatnot. I think I echo like the sentiment that has been like around like the different discussions, especially in our K-pop, which is almost any other agency, it would drop a red flag. But I think RBW kind of does have a legacy of being genuine, like and there's a lot of goodwill there already, especially like they said, like this is something they do. They support artists and they support charitable efforts. So this seems really cool. I want to this seems really cool. How does it feel to you?
It does hit that like that it gives me that worry that it's kind of a publicity stunt, but I will wait and see, or this will just be something that we don't hear about after like a year. So it'll definitely be I want to see where this goes. It sounds good.
Yeah.
But I want to see where it goes and what they do with it.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, we wish all the best to everyone that wants to apply. If you're out there and you're in Korea and young, you can go on the website and see where you can download, the application and apply if you qualify. So good luck to everyone. Fighting. Hope everything goes well. All right, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode of Hallyujuku. A nice little succinct episode. Cass, what's going on? Yeah. What's going on in your world?
There's not much going on right now, but definitely go check out Sports Odds and Ends and the DKG Whelp podcast. Those are two other shows that I do. And if you kind of like sports Odds and Ends is the place for you. If you kind of like funny ha-has, DKG Whelp is the place for you.
Yeah. They're both really fun shows. I'm looking forward. I need to go check it out, but I'm looking forward to more insanity. Looking forward to the NBA season is what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, we got Jimmy Buckets, but yeah, go check out those shows. He's at King Kaz.
Well, didn't I tell you? Don't you know?
I'm at PD Rave. The show is Hallyujuku. Hallyujuku.com, kpoppodcast.com, rebelly.net for this and other shows, Rebelly TV on YouTube, and possibly on Twitch. So just keep an eye out, but mainly YouTube.
Give it to me straight, Doctor.
Check us out everywhere you can find podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, maybe more.
Give it to me straight, Doctor.
Do all the things, subscribe, like, share. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Why, I think you're crazy.
Annyeong. Fighting.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.